Now
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:37 here on O'Connor and Company. Thank you so much for letting us be part of your morning, getting you where you need to go, and better informed and hopefully entertained while you get there. Coming up at 8:35, Neil Parrott, who's running for Congress in Maryland, just got the Republican nomination, is going to join us. It's Larry O'Connor with Mercedes Schlapp. Joining us right now is Patrice Onwuka. She's the director of the Center for Economic Opportunity at the Independent Women's Forum, and, by the way, the Friday co-host here on O'Connor and Company. Good morning,
I
Patrice.
love it.
Hey, good morning, Larry. Good morning, Mercy.
So talk to me about what's going on with the FDIC. This sounds like a real scandal here and a hostile work environment that the chairman is responsible for.
Absolutely. You're talking about the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. It's one of the regulators for our banks. And this, I can't make a more salacious work environment where, you have people peeing urinating off of the roof of government buildings.
It's okay, you can say that, but she's got toddlers, so that's a word that is frequently used in the Onwuka household.
Yes. Urinating, I apologize. I mean, the sexual harassment, senior executives sending lewd pictures of their body parts to junior female staff, racial discrimination. It runs the gamut, and this is over years that this has been happening at this agency. These are well documented, well reported incidences that were never dealt with. And in fact, you failed up if you were a person who committed wrongdoing. You actually ended up getting a promotion, and you may have ended up working side by side with the person you allegedly victimized. So this is an environment, and the chairman who led the FDIC for a number of years, did nothing about it. Thankfully, though, he was grilled on Capitol Hill yesterday, and he'll be back again today. Yes,
he was. Representative Greg Meeks, in fact, a Democrat, really expressed a lot of anger. Take a listen.
The very idea that employees suffered from racial and gender discrimination, bullying, mistreatment, and harassment at the FDIC for years. And as I see in the report, not a single one resulted in a removal, reductions in pay grade.
Yeah, it went on and on. This was not a pleasant day for the chairman. How does he keep his job? I thought Joe Biden promised that he would never tolerate any sort of insulting or degrading behavior on his watch.
Well, that's what President Biden said, but I don't think he means it because the FDIC is enacting his radical agenda and expanding the government's oversight of different banks. So, if you're a useful tool, then you get to stay. And what's even worse is not just the fact that this happened under the chairman's watch; it's that he himself, according to an independent report that corroborated Wall Street Journal investigations last year, that he himself was a well-known bully. He would bully staff. He would create a belligerent environment for people to work in. They didn't even want to approach him. But if you saw him yesterday, he seemed like, a gentle kind of older gentleman. He was like, I apologize. He never apologized for his own personal behavior and his own personal actions. And frankly, he thinks that he should get to stay and enact reforms. How do you reform an agency now when you didn't reform it for the nearly 20 years that you were there, very often in leadership positions?
So we know both Democrats and Republicans are critical of his leadership there, but as you mentioned, it doesn't seem like he's going anywhere. If he were to resign, then it seems that the Republican, who's the vice chair, would take the helm, which would change the dynamics on that. Is that a possibility, or is it just that the Biden administration can get, nobody ever leaves. I swear, nobody ever leaves.
Lost a job.
Nobody's lost a job.
Well, that's the thing here, Mercy. I mean, you only have maybe one or two Democrats who've said anything. I give credit to Representative Cori Bush yesterday, who said, you know what, I have lost confidence in you, and I think you need to step aside. But we haven't seen Elizabeth Warren say anything. We haven't seen Maxine Waters, who's the chairwoman of one of the House Financial Services Committee yesterday. They've said, okay, you've learned your lesson, but you can stay in the job and enact reforms. So it's going to take pressure from, and a lot of Republicans obviously have called him out and said he needs to resign and step aside. But until Democratic leadership actually has a Me Too moment and is willing to say, women, we support you, we believe you, and we will move aside wrongdoers like they did to Senator Al Franken, then nothing is going to change.
Patrice, I just want to remind everybody, this is Joe Biden on January 20th, the first day of his presidency. They did a teleconference video swearing in of 1,000 political appointees, and he said this.
If you're ever working with me and I hear you treat another colleague with disrespect, talk down to someone, I promise you I will fire you on the spot.
Does that properly characterize what the chairman of the FDIC is accused of here and has allowed to go on his watch?
Absolutely. He berated staff. He created this culture of fear and then retaliation so that if you did speak up, you could potentially lose your job. As a result, the FDIC lost so many qualified women who really wanted to change the face of banking regulating in a positive way. Women who were qualified, but they felt that the environment was not conducive to any woman. I mean, who would want to be in an office where your stalker is sitting next to you, texting you, eggplant pics? I'm trying to be FCC compliant.
Understood. Yes.
But that's the kind of environment. So he's back on the Hill on the Senate side today. Hopefully, there's going to be more pressure for him to resign, but he needs to.
Yeah, and the White House should be held to their own standard here. Yeah. Because that obviously that statement that Joe Biden made on January 20th was a dig at Trump and the prior administration. He was suggesting by comparison that he was a decent man and that the decency is now back in the administration, and well, clearly not so much. And so he should do what he said he would do. Patrice, we'll see you tomorrow.
All right. I'll see you guys. Have a good one.
Thanks for joining us. Like many people, my experiences with the dentist when I was a kid were not the most comfortable. I had a big fear of the dentist, but for the past decade now, I've been seeing Dr. Rob and Dr. Deb at Bethesda Sedation Dentistry. They'll walk you through your visit every step of the way. Everything's talked about in advance. It's 100% permission-based. You're not going to throw you for a loop. You're not going to get surprised. It's like, oh, my gosh, why did you stick that thing in my mouth? It hurts. You should have told me ahead of time, gotten me ready for it. No, see, none of that happens. By the way, May is also National Appreciation Month. Bethesda Sedation Dentistry, they're committed to our troops. They're going to donate $100 to the Fisher House Foundation for every new patient visit. So why don't you be that person that funnels $100 to Fisher House Foundation? If you have any dental fear at all, nagging tooth pain, if you want to find out more about sedation dentistry, call my dentist, Dr. Deb and Dr. Rob, or Dr. Dobb and Dr. Reb. They'll answer to anything. Bethesda Sedation Dentistry, 301-530-2434. 301-530-2434, BethesdaSedationDentistry.com. 745.